What's going on, everyone? It is I, the Kingpin, King of the Streets. Welcome to another edition of Shooting the Shit Uncensored. Well, of course, usually the host, Piers Austin, the dad bod god, the bald, the beard, the beautiful, the saucy Aussie always opens up the show correctly. But since this is his 200th episode, the Kingpin wanted to introduce him correctly. Piers, congratulations on your 200th episode. I don't know why I have this lisp today. I haven't been drinking, but I have this lisp that I'm messing up. So I thought I'm having like some issue. But hey, man, congratulations on the 200th episode, man. What's going on?
Thank you very much, man. This is a big deal for me, and I know like some people might not think 200 episodes doing a podcast, whatever, but like, man, this is something that I've invested my life into, man, since starting, and put it as my main priority next to my family. And man, to get here, bro, like I feel really proud of myself, man, and I don't usually feel proud of myself with my accomplishments.
You know, as I was watching the videos that you were just in your opening show, I mean, you had hair and all the way to bald. So 200 episodes, that transition was pretty drastic. So just curiosity, how long has it been, from the day 1 to 200th episode? I know you've done it every week, but that's what, 2 years?
Man, it's shit. I started like December 29. Hang on. Yeah, 2019. I think 2020 was when I really kicked it off. Yeah, so it's been 2 years, man.
Okay.
So, 2 years, and early on, I got very lucky with the people who I got on. Having NWA world champions at the time coming on my show, and being like my second and third guest. It kind of intimidating, and even having yourself on. I think you were number 6. And just, when I had you on, and then you saying, "Hey, man," when you were you said mentioned something about when you had CW Anders on you, blah blah, and I was like, "Holy shit, fucking Angel from the Baldies watched my interview. That's fucking amazing." You know what I mean? Like that to me was like, it just, like I said early on, having those opportunities and hearing someone like yourself say that you watched something that I did, I was like, "Fuck, like this is cool as shit." You know what I mean? And
But what's funny, as I was watching, if I remember correctly, it's like, you kind of like evolved from when you did the interview. I remember it was a clock behind you. You had just like a plug-in headset you were holding. I think you were working off your laptop at the time. And then look at you now. You got, Roadcaster, that's called white privilege because I can't afford it. You have the heavyweight title in the back. You have your own office. You have a jersey. I think it's what kind of jersey is that? Rugby jersey?
It's a rugby jersey.
Okay, you got your rugby. Yeah, I mean, you got your whole office set up to the way you want it. So it looks like you made a great, like I said, you evolved from like your first podcast all the way to now because you can see that money's rolling in as we speak.
It's one of those things, man. Like it's always hard not to look at the numbers, and like sometimes you go, "Oh man, like how do I get this? How do I get that?" And man, like my thing now is like, dude, I just want to have fun. I want to enjoy this. This podcasting thing is meant to be fun and meant to be fun for all of us. And you've known me for a long time, Angel, and like, how I get as well. Like when I'm committed to something like podcasting, stuff like that, and part of our crew, you know what I mean? I'm so amped up, and like I sometimes have blinders on, and now I'm trying to sort of remove those blinders and sort of like take a bit more of a laid back approach and just have fun with what we're doing, because the stress of it, and you've seen me through the stress of it, like when we joined up with Realm Network and all that sort of stuff. And man, like now I just want to have fun with this and continue to make sure that we put on an entertaining product, but just letting you guys do what you do, man, and having you guys have that faith in me to, do my vision in podcasting and take my ideas on board, and even doing your own ideas and taking your shows and elevating them to another level as well, and seeing you guys get better. Like I watched Knights of the Gimmick Table, like their first episode, like the other day, just to go back and rewatch it, and then watching their most recent one with Lucky 13, like I'm just like, man, these guys have just fucking evolved and grown themselves. And you know what I mean? Like they've gone back, they've focused, and yourself as well, man. Like, you went out straight away as soon as you became a podcaster. You went out, you drop the coin on the equipment, bro. And that's what it is, man. It's, you know, we have a pretty tight knit crew here, and we all want to do good. But yeah, I'm proud of every single person that's on our network and what they've accomplished.
Well, I'm just curious. I mean, yeah, like I said, 200 episodes, you know, out of all the people, and we'll break it down right here. Of all the people, like from the male wrestlers, who was the most you had the most excited to have on your show? Yeah, all of them were excitement. Was it the Ken Shamrock? Was that one of your like topic excitement? Was it you know, whoever, like, myself, CW Anderson, who was your, I say Ken Shamrock to me was like the top excitement to have on your show. So who was it for you?
Well, it's almost like every interview has its own level of excitement for me. And it was like every time I get someone and it was like, man, life don't get any better than this. And look, I don't mark out to guys and stuff like that. And I've learned a lot about how the business is from you and how to act around people in the business. But Ken Shamrock was definitely one I was really excited about. I never got really, really nervous before I do any show, but with him, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm walking around my house, pacing, like chain smoking cigarettes in my backyard because I was so nervous for it. But yeah, like that to me was probably one of my most exciting opportunities. And man, Ken was a great guy. He gave me a lot of his time, and just we rolled with it, you know.
Okay, so you had the wrestler, Ken Shamrock, the world's toughest man, the most dangerous man on the planet. But of course, you also have Vince Russo on the show, one of the greatest writers out there and promoters. So, how did you feel about him having him on your show? I mean, of course, you're gonna put him over, but I'm just saying, like,
Oh,
I mean,
of course,
I
yeah.
mean,
It, again, like at the time when I had Vince on the first time, I didn't know him. I only knew what I'd read about him and what like the dirt sheets say about him and all these people that have had interactions with him. So I didn't know what to expect when I had Vince on because I never met him, I never spoken to him before, and having him on, and you've spoken to Vince, dozens of times, right?
yeah.
And he's one of those people, which is like he's a very generous guy, man. He was always willing to help. But having him on that first episode and having that conversation with him was pretty huge, man. Me and Charles both did that, and then shortly after that, we pretty much took Wrestling with Tragedy and took that over onto the Russo's brand. And you and I started doing that, and then develop even more of a relationship with Vince and Ben and those guys over there. And to have Vince come back on my show and do that episode part 2, where it was just like me and him literally just shooting the shit, talking and stuff like that, talking about the business, talking about things. And, Vince is a very straight up guy. Like he doesn't mince his words. He doesn't, whatever. So what you see is what you get with him, bro.
Okay. So, I mean, now that we talked about the guys in the business, what about the females in the business? Who was your number one? Like, wow, this, that made your heart flutter. Not because you like romancing, but like, like, wow, I got this, wow, I mean, the top chick, who was your top chick? All of them were cool, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. Look, I'd say internationally, Saraya Knight, Julie Knight.
And why is that?
Well, it's I kind of have a little bit of a
crush.
It's no, not crush. It's bittersweet because I interviewed her husband, Ricky Knight, which we all know is Paige's dad, and Saraya is Paige's mum. And I interviewed another member of the family as well. And yeah, we had this planned out, but the day of the interview, hours beforehand, speaking out had happened, and Saraya Knight was accused of some bullshit, and it turned out to be bullshit. But they had to cancel, and I haven't been able to get her back since. So it's kind of like she's the fish that jumped off my hook or jumped out of the boat, so to speak, right as I had it. And man, it was, it's one of those things, man. That happens, bro, with this podcasting thing. But that's one I really want. But as far as the interviews that I did get to have, Thunder Rosa, I'd say she was definitely one that I was excited to have on. But also just like the Australian scene, man. Like I've had some amazing conversations with some of these like women performers. And I've said for the longest time that Australia has the best women wrestling in the world, and there's like we have the best female performers, I should say, in the world, and there is no comparison. And I could send you matches, I could show you matches of what's happening in today's current product here and over there, and I'm sure you would most likely agree to some things and probably disagree with some. But the Australian wrestlers, man, I've had some amazing conversations with Kingsley. She's an absolute amazing performer, and that girl is her star is very, very bright, and she's got a bright future in the business.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, now that you're at your 200th episode, what top female stars are you looking into? Don't ask for Sunny because she's going to be locked up for a long time. But if you was going, who's your next interview that you're looking like to try to get on your show? If you're trying to take it to the next level.
Man, Chris Jericho, bro.
That's
I think
you calling him
female. Sorry,
I know he has long hair, and he looks it's like silky and shiny, but he's a male.
No. Okay, female. That's a very hard one because there's so many.
Old school, new school.
Anyone in the world?
Anyone that you like, hey, I want to get this person on my show. I mean, I think this would be a good interview.
Stephanie McMahon.
That would be hard to get.
That would be hard, but
realistically, like you're not going to get Stephanie. I
know that's
it has to fall in your lap on that one. But I mean, if it was Marlena or Terry Reynolds or not even Charlotte. I mean, you know what I mean? Like somebody that you like, I think I could probably get her on my show.
I'd probably say
excuse me.
It's so hard, man, because I'm just trying to think who I'd want to have that conversation with. And I'm trying to think who would be a free-flowing conversation. You know what I mean? Who would be like very not try and be sugarcoat things and try and protect, you know what I mean? Like someone who just have like a really easy conversation with. I'd probably say Shayna Baszler in WWE. I think she's the sort of one she'd be very straightforward and talk and just be straight up.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I mean, definitely if you could get her on your show, that definitely will be a notch in your belt to get her on your show. Now, but I mean, if it was somebody no longer with us, would you think a Luna Vachon would definitely be a good interview for you?
Oh, bro, yeah. Like, I love Luna's work, and I watching that Dark Side of the Ring episode on her, man. Like, I've always enjoyed her stuff. Like, even the stuff she did in ECW, man. Like, where intergender wrestling was kind of born there, man. Like the match that she had there. I think she had a match with Stevie Richards, and Stevie got fucking juiced up.
I remember.
I think it was like 94 or 93. I think David Heath, Gangrel, was wrestling there as like Vampire Warrior or some shit.
I'm trying to think. Was it before the Beulah and Fonzie match, or
yeah? This was probably a couple years before that, man. That was probably a couple years before that. But yeah, Luna's definitely one, man. But I mentioned before Chris Jericho as well, dude. I reckon he'd be a guy to have a fucking great conversation with.
Yeah, I can see that, man. He has a lot of knowledge. Chris Jericho has just been around the world, been in a lot of promotions. I mean, he could definitely give you a lot of insights of his career, But besides that, I mean, like, did you a lot of opportunities opened up for you as you open shooting the shit? Like did the doors open for you to like, because I know you're doing some promoting. I'm not promoting, like ring announcing. And has any other thing opened up that gave you an opportunity because of shooting the shit?
Yeah, I mean, wrestling with tragedy, dude. Like that to me was a big
well. Besides podcasts and outside, like I said, be a ring announcer for other organizations, doing voiceovers for stuff. I mean, things that just opened up for you because of your podcast.
Yeah, man. Ring announcing, commentating as well, and it's funny because a lot of the times to get in the business to do that sort of stuff is like, I don't know about internationally, but here in Australia, you've kind of got to be a wrestler or have done that, or been in the ring to be on the commentary desk. So For me to get those opportunities to go in and do that is just like, and to be offered as well is just, man, it's very humbling.
No, right on, right on. I mean, yeah, I mean, like it is very humbling. I mean, it's just funny because you had like some guys like Luke Hawks on your show, because he was in Australia,
Yeah,
and but like I said, I mean, you saw him at a show. I mean, I introduced you to him, but I'm saying like
yeah.
he was even at one of the shows that you were at where you were doing the ring announcing, if I was correct, if I remember
No, no, no,
correctly.
no. I wasn't
We just
working that show. No, no, we were just hanging
you
out.
wasn't doing commentary and stuff. You was just there hanging out.
Uh, I was just hanging out at that show. Yeah.
Regardless, I mean, like I said, it opens up a lot of doors for you. So I mean, it's like you've been invited to a lot of shows to come down to give your opinion, or also just to get an opportunity to work with other organizations in the wrestling
Yeah,
business.
man.
You know.
It's crazy to think, man, that it's like, I don't see what I do as I don't look at what I do and say, hey, I'm one of the boys. I'm in the business. I never would say I'm in the business. I'm just lucky to be associated with it, if that makes sense. But like, just because I respect what everyone who gets in that ring and does. So it's like for me to say, hey, I'm in the business. I've never had a fucking match, so I would never say that.
Okay, I mean, I understand. I mean, you're not in the business. I mean, do you feel like you would have ended up in the business if you didn't get into podcasting? I mean, I know you say you did your MMA stuff, you did your, your martial arts and stuff like that. But I mean, would you consider try at the time to get into the wrestling business?
When I was doing MMA, you mean?
Yeah,
Or
yeah. I mean, you were doing MMA. You said, I mean, you were doing all that stuff. I mean, would that, a lot of that stuff transitions to pro wrestling if
yeah,
you don't
like
make it into.
dude, when I was like 18, I wanted to wrestling was all I wanted to do as a kid. So like when I think it was 18 or 19, I met this guy who was a wrestler here in Australia through his wife I was working with at the time, and went down to the training school, everything like that. Checked it out. It was, I didn't have a driver's license at the time, didn't have a car, and they wanted like I think it was 1,500 or 2 grand, right? So I'm an 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid. No kid's got that fucking money. Like wanted it up front, but everyone in my family, like parents, sibling, like cousins, everyone like that, would just look at me and go, "You want to be a pro wrestler?" Like, dude, no, no. And I let that fuck with my head, bro. You're too small. You know what I mean? They'll laugh at you. People will laugh at you. You know what I mean? Like, get fucking real. Who'd want to see you wrestle? And I took all that shit. And to be honest, man, I get asked this question: how come you never broke into the business? How come you never became a wrestler? And the thing is, the only thing I can put it down to is I didn't want it bad enough.
Okay.
Because man, if you want it bad enough, it doesn't matter what anyone else says. It doesn't matter about that outside noise. You were just committed to it. You know what I mean? Like you did that, bro. Louis did that. Mega did that. Chung did that. Kay did that. You guys didn't give a fuck what other people thought. You just would. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go and do it, and fuck the naysayers. But for me, I let people fuck with my head, and clearly, I just didn't want it bad enough.
Well, I mean, you ever considered like at the time, like, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but like, I mean, other avenues in regards to like managing or I mean, you are doing the ring announcing, you are doing the commentary, but did you ever consider doing managerial roles?
For me at
Was
the time, dude, I was an 18-year-old kid, so it was all or nothing. If I was going to be in the business, I was going to be a worker. I was going to be a wrestler. I mean, I wanted that moment. I wanted to do that, and to be honest, like looking at it at the time, like no motherfucker from Australia was in WWE or WCW. Like where there was no Australian person there was no goal to really accomplish. So it was like even then, like I remember my dad saying, Australians aren't going to make it in WWE. Fucking, they're not. They're not going to hire blah blah blah. Like, but no, look, they're all Americans. It's not fucking Australia. It's bullshit. I'm
well,
like,
what is hard is at the time, I mean, like if you were Australian, if you were English, I mean, you have to get that opportunity to get flown overseas, unless you got a
Yeah.
tryout when they came over to England or Australia. But then you have to get picked up. You have to get an opportunity to say, okay, we're going to bring you down to the United States and stuff like that. So yeah, it's harder for anybody. I mean, from China to Dubai to India. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just because WWE is based out of United States. So yeah,
Mm.
it is hard to get an opportunity because either they're gonna say, yeah, just come down and you got to fly on your own dime. I'm not saying you do, but I don't know how
Mm.
that works with them. But in my brain would be thinking, oh, I got to fly myself down, do a tryout. There's no guarantee that I'm going to get a job. So I'm just doing this out of experience. So you spend like 2-3 grand to fly to the United States to go to Connecticut to try to get a tryout. And
Mm.
then you get a try. Hey, good, you look good. We'll call you. And that's all you get.
But you know what, dude? Like, I didn't even get into the door of a training school. So that's like well past my realm. But that's the thing. I was an 18, 19-year-old kid. I didn't understand that. You know what I mean? I didn't understand how you pay your dues in the business, how guys pay their dues, you go train. I honestly thought, hey man, I'm going to go to a training school. I'll train for like a couple of months. I'm going to show them that, man, this guy's the fucking greatest thing we've ever seen. We're going to put the belts on him. He's going to, that's the way I was thinking, man, I want to impress. But in reality, it doesn't work that way. And, but that was me just being a naive, ignorant idiot. You know what I mean? Like not understanding how the real world works, let alone the wrestling business.
So what? Oh, I mean, in Australia, what is the top wrestling school out there right now? I mean, what is the number one school?
Pro Wrestling Australia, man, like PWA.
And that's a training facility?
Yeah, man. Yeah, they train some of like the best performers out there, like Grayson Waller, who's on NXT, who had a match with AJ Styles, and he's just finished a feud with LA Knight. He was trained by PWA. And that guy's been in the business for like 4 years. Like he's wrestling 4 years and got picked up by WWE. So these guys train certain ways. Like I speak to like their head coach, Jack Bonza, and he says, man, WWE, they're looking for a certain particular thing. AEW, they're looking for a completely other different thing. So he said, like Steph DeLanda, like who's known as Persia Pirotta now in WWE, she wanted to get to WWE. So what they did is they taught her how to work a WWE style.
And how do they know what's the WWE style? Just curious.
Well, they've got close connections to management over in WWE, and they would give feedback and to PWA, say, hey, this performer looks good, but this is what they need to work on. And they would get the feedback from WWE and then come and implement it, because they had like Cameron Seaman, one of the guys there, who would actually watch the PWA shows. Like he would come to Australia and go watch a PWA show.
Okay. No, I mean, I'm just wondering what I mean. That's one thing. It's just funny how things have changed so many years. You go to wrestling school, you get trained, and you get an opportunity to work in the ring in WWE. Now you gotta doesn't matter what wrestling school you go to, is you still gotta go to the performance center, learn their style, which is again, not my style. I mean, because there's certain things I'm like, I can't do that. Like front flip, the way they flip things and the backward flip, and I'm like, I can't do that shit. I don't have that. I just have a different style of wrestling. So, but anyway, I mean that's pretty interesting. So, I mean, they're the top school in Australia. They definitely, if you want to make it into the business, that's the place to go out of all of them.
If you want to get to a WWE or an AEW and you're in Australia, and you're in Sydney, PWA is the place for you to go.
And how many schools are out there in Australia? Wrestling school-wise?
There's fucking heaps, man. Like there's the 3 Count Academy in Queensland, the MCW Academy in Melbourne, which is an MCW Academy, another great. They had 3 of their stars signed to Ring of Honor: Kellyanne, Adam Brooks, and Slex, and they were signed to Ring of Honor just before the release of all their stars. But there's so many, man. There's so many in Australia.
Well, I just got a question in regards to the Australian wrestling, and I was always curious. Like in Puerto Rico, you had Carlos Colon's organization, you had Victor Quione's organization. They had TV, and they had stars. They got guys who making a good living as a pro wrestler in Puerto Rico, but never went to the big WWE or ECW. I mean, they could, but they had a career. Yeah. I mean, in Australia, do you have your own organizations that guys doing a good living wrestling under that banner? Like, do they have TV and stuff like that?
Well, I think it's changed now, like to a certain aspect, because now, there's Fight TV, there's these streaming services, so the shows are going out on that. So you can see a PWA, you can see an MCW show. Like I've sent you stuff from PWA before, and you can watch that stuff where people now over in America can watch an Australian show. People over in the UK can watch like what these guys are doing here. And that's the thing that makes it so much special. As far as regular, like, free to air television stuff like that, no, there's not. And to be honest, I think there's a market for it, dude. Honestly, is.
Well, I mean, the reason I was asking is because I was just thinking, like, guys, like, have you heard of Chicky Star?
No.
Chicky Star's like he's the elite of pro wrestling in Puerto Rico. Ric Flair,
Okay.
no, I mean, like, remember, think of Bruiser Brody went down to Carlos Colon, Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, everybody that talked about in their interviews went to Puerto Rico to wrestle, so Chicky Star was one of their top guys, just their version of Ric Flair. So I was just thinking, like, I mean, look at Carlito, you see Carlito in the Indies and stuff like that, do a couple things here in the United States. But of course, he's in Puerto Rico wrestling for his dad's organization. So that's why I was just wondering, like, in Australia, even though there's guys who are very talented, make a good living working for the organization down there as one of their top stars, and that's what I was just curious about.
Yeah. Look, I can't speak. I don't know how much the guys get paid. I don't ask those questions. You know what I mean?
Well, it's not about being paid, but like, if you said, and again, I don't know all the Australian wrestlers, but if you threw out one of their top, who's your top indie wrestling guy that works for whatever?
Wow, Robbie Eagles, but he's signed
Okay.
to he's signed to New Japan.
Okay, so
would you still consider him an indie guy though?
Yeah, he's an indie guy because he's going to New Japan. He's still not signed. See, but regardless, he's flying to Japan, England. That's fine. A lot of guys do that, but in Australia, he's one of the top guys, right? Like, everybody knows who he is.
Absolutely, yeah. Every Aussie wrestling fan knows who Robbie is.
Okay, so then that means if he's in in Australia, I mean, the organization he's with has TV.
No
TV. Okay, no, just wondering.
They are on Fight TV, which is the streaming service.
But so even if there was a Fight TV, you didn't have any public channel in Australia that shows wrestling? No. Like when ECW first started, it was on MSG?
No.
Okay. No.
And that's a fucking travesty, to be honest.
Well, I just figured, like, every country should have their own organization because, I mean, a wrestling organization that people watch on TV, regardless if it's WWE, AEW, they're like, oh, yeah, we have ZWP wrestling in Australia. I'm just making that up. Yeah. And we watch it on channel so-and-so every week at 7:00. So that's why I was just curious. Pro Wrestling Guerrilla got TV, and people, you can watch them on TV. I don't know if they're on Fight now, but back in the days I think they had their own channel somewhere.
But, yeah, dude, I'd love to see that in Australia, but like I think as well, like, it's a cultural thing as well. Like, I think pro wrestling is probably a big part of American culture to some extent. I think that started with Hulk Hogan, like the ultimate brother. So I think it's a cultural thing in a lot of ways as well. Mm-hmm. I think the Australian public is definitely opening up more to it. I think we've had recently two professional wrestlers from Australia be on reality TV shows, 2 different reality TV shows. So that brings more exposure to it. So people that may not have been may be a WWE fan here in Australia, but not know there's Aussie wrestling here, would see that and go, oh, fuck, this guy's a wrestler. Where does he wrestle? You know what I mean? And wrestling fans are inquisitive people because they'll go, okay, now I want to go and find out where this guy wrestles. I want to see one of his matches. Even if they want to go and shit on it, or they want to just like go and become a fan because they've seen him on the show, and now they become a fan for seeing his match. So there's a bit of crossover happening, and I think in the Australian wrestling scene, I think in the next year or two, something massive is about to happen.
And just curiosity, in the wrestling scene, I mean, New Zealand and England, do they travel from Australia to New Zealand to England back and forth? I mean, of course, Japan, but do they also go to organizations, in those areas?
Yeah, I mean, the guys do like a lot of the guys do travel. Like I think there's a bunch of wrestlers now from Australia over in America for they were in America for the WrestleMania week of shows. We've got one team called the Aussie Open. With Davis and Fletcher. And these guys are over in the UK. They're in they've been the Progress Tag Team Champions over there. They're in a stable with Will Ospreay as well, like recently. So, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of exposure to Aussie wrestling, and I think it's definitely growing, you know?
No, I got you, man. I mean, that's why I was just curious because, like I said, I mean, I know you get the opportunity to travel to New Zealand again. I don't know if I know New Zealand has wrestling, but I don't know organizations out there. I know England has tons of wrestling
Oh,
everywhere,
shit.
so I know that because I just know how the business is. But that's pretty interesting. I like that. So like what is your future plans for shooting the shit? What is the next level for your podcast? I know getting more guests, getting more interviews, but are you going to take it to a next level to even get more eyes on your show?
Yes. I want to step up and, like MWA Podcast Network is something that we've created.
Mhm.
And I always want to make sure that I have been able to lead by example and be one of the people that the hardest working in our group.
Mhm.
And because I feel like if you're one of the owners and you're one of the people in charge of this, you really have to be able to step up and lead by example and show the work. And for me, shooting the shit, getting to 200 episodes, dude, it's a massive accomplishment, bro. And to be honest, I just want to smash out another 200, man, and I want to get to 300 by the end of this year. That's my goal, is to hit 300 by the end of this year. And
Well,
I think I can do it, but I'm going to be doing quite a few episodes, and I may actually have to. I don't reach out to you or any of my friends to put me in contact with any people, but I think I might have to start doing that in the near future.
now, I mean, like I said, you've been interviewing a lot of Australian wrestlers, but of course, I mean, how are you going to try to get people like overseas, like people from Japan, people from England, New Zealand, again, India, other top stars that are in those areas to like, and again, they're not WWE bound. I'm not saying that it won't. I'm just saying, but those are the top dogs in those local circuits.
Sure. Yeah, dude, I'd love to, man. Like I said, man, I love having good conversations. So if I can have a good conversation with someone, it doesn't really matter where they're from. Like I'm happy to talk. If they're involved in the world of pro wrestling, you can talk. You can have a bit of banter. That's fucking awesome. Let's fucking go. You know what I mean? Like that to me is like, yeah, let's do it. So
No, I totally
anyone.
understand. I totally understand what you're saying about people. It doesn't matter where they come, but sometimes I'm not saying. I just wanted to know if you was going to reach out to other athletes that are across the waters just to get, and besides the United States, even Brazil, even
Oh,
Cuba,
sure.
even Puerto Rico, to get one of those legendary athletes, from Puerto Rico on your show, just to just spread it around to get more. I'm not saying you don't have eyes on your show, but again,
No.
just getting more interesting people from other organizations to get their views on the business.
Yeah, dude. Look, it's hard, man, with a lot of things with podcasting because, like, when you know people, it's easier to say, "Hey, man, come do my podcast." All right, cool, bro. Thanks, man. All right. But when you don't know someone, it can be a little bit of a process. For me, I want to step up. I want to try and be. I want to try and get media credentials, and people are probably going to laugh at this, but I want to try and get some sort of media credentials from WWE and AEW because I want to start, interviewing these guys as well. I want to start having these guys on my show. And I want to jump through those hurdles to get it. You know what I mean? Like that's
Well, and the thing I was just thinking, like, okay, so you try to take it to the next level in the business of podcasting. Now, I know we joke around in regards about the cancel culture, in regards about be careful what you say, don't drop the M bomb, don't do this, don't do that. Now, of course, I look at people like Joe Rogan who are edgy, smoke marijuana on the show, just talk about all topics, and he don't give a fuck about what cancel culture does because that's his niche. He's the no
yeah.
nonsense person. So, I mean, are you what is your view in regards about the cancel culture in regards to that? You think the cancel culture might hold you back because you can't express how you feel in this business because you're afraid of repercussions?
Me, look, I personally feel, Angel, like I try and be a nice person. That's simple as that, man. I try and be a nice guy. I don't try and hate on anyone. I don't call people. You know what I mean? I'm a nice person. I don't get my nose. Can't even talk. I'm a nice guy, and that's who I am. Right. So I'm not a racist. I'm not a homophobe. I'm not none of these
No.
things. So for me, I don't worry about that. But the thing I worry about probably mainly is at times I can be an awkward person. I can put my fucking foot in my mouth, right? Like that's just me. Sometimes I might say something which is slightly inappropriate, and because I don't think before I open my mouth. And that to me, I try and watch that, but at the end of the day, man, I am who I am, man. And if people like me, they like me. If they don't like me, then they
Well,
don't want me. Simple.
well, I'm not saying that you're not a nice person, and I'm not saying that you're, that you're. I'm talking about to take it to the next level of journalism, to take the next level of podcasting. You have to have, it's your opinion. And
Sure.
again, I know you're a nice guy. I know you're a lovable guy. I mean, you're not in. I mean, between me and you, I'm more edgier than you because I just don't care. I just have a
Yeah.
different mentality. But it doesn't mean that you're not a great interviewer. It's just that with this cancel culture, are you more afraid that if you might say the wrong things, that it might affect your brand? Are you concerned? Like I said, Joe Rogan is one of the top guys out there, but of course, cancel culture are trying to cancel him even when he's saying the right things. Even though he's having experts on the show from a different point of view,
Yeah.
people are saying that's false information. So in the wrestling business, if you made your opinion in regards about a professional wrestler that did some, let's say we're talking about Sunny, and
Mhm.
Sunny, and you bash on her for whatever she did, crashing, killing somebody, whatever the story is, and you really got on her hard, and then the cancel culture saying that you're being too hard on her and you're
A
being
bully.
a bully, then are you going to hold yourself back in regards to that because you're afraid of the repercussions of the cancel culture because you're afraid to be that edgy person to speak your mind about something like that, if that makes sense?
No, I mean, I speak my mind, and I say what I feel. And, I think I don't, I don't ever hold back. But for me, how I view things and how I say things, and certain stuff like that, I'm not worried about cancel culture. If they want to find something in something that I say, then go find it. You know what I mean? Like, I've never said a racist word in my life. I've never harmed anybody. I've never caused anyone physical harm unless I was in a combat sport environment. You know what I mean? Like, it's just you know what I mean? I'm not worried about it. No, I don't care, because
Yeah.
I'll say what I want to say. And if you don't like it, then don't fucking watch. That's, you
Well,
know what I mean? Like, it's simple.
and the reason I was asking is because, and I'm not using the Will Smith situation because we beat that horse to death, but it's just that it's affecting comedy. And even though I know we talk about wrestling stuff, but I'm just looking at it from putting it even in the wrestling perspective. Even a lot of comedians are just saying now people at a certain venues are saying like, hey, before you go on stage, I need to know what you're going to talk about, and because we want to make sure that you don't offend nobody. So it takes away a lot of the material from the comedians, and because of the business being afraid to be canceled. So that's why I was just curious in regards to like, I know, like I said, I know you're edgy. I know you say you speak your mind, but again, and I'm just bringing it up as a conversation because, like I
Oh,
said, you're
no, no.
one of the top interviewers out there, and you have a lot of top guys on your show and shooting the shit. But sometimes, I'm just curious that if you might say something that might, I'm not saying you're afraid, but you know what I mean. Like cancel culture is very tricky, and even though
Yeah,
you
like
think
if
you
I
say
if
something,
I
yeah,
disagree with the guest, is that what you mean? Like if they saying
yeah,
something, like challenge it? Is that what you?
yeah, like if you challenge something, and again, like you said, being a bully, oh, he's being a bully, and then you get the repercussions of the letters and the things like that. And again, that's what I just think because of journalism or journalism podcasting, this is a world that this is ours. We're not being censored by the FCC. We're not being, regulated and stuff like that in regards to that. But it's just now that the cancel culture does have a chokehold in this, in wrestling and anything entertainment, that a
Yeah.
lot of people are just like afraid to say what they want to say because they're afraid of the repercussions, if that makes sense.
Well, the thing is, you mentioned comedy, right? And
Yeah.
you seen that movie, Tropic Thunder?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah, like Robert Downey Jr.'s character in that movie.
Yeah, I love
You know,
it. It's awesome.
yeah, right. That couldn't happen in 2022. That movie would be fucking like shunned in 2022. And I think that
But why?
big,
I mean, I'm
I
just
think
like thinking, but
yeah, look,
why?
I
Why
think
would you think?
overly maybe people are too overly sensitive um to a lot of things, but as well, dude, I think from a comedy aspect you have to understand satire, and sometimes comedy is inappropriate. Comedy can be left field. Comedy can be, tongue in cheek. But as soon as you start trying to censor comedy, as soon as you try and start canceling comedy and comedians, you're taking away someone's creative outlet. You know what I mean? Like if an actor said, put it this way, if there's a movie about like, I don't know, like slavery in the United States back in the
Mhm.
day, right? And like a white man is calling, a person of color the N word, right? Like, is that then no one's going to then start blasting that actor saying, yeah, let's take Django, for example. No one's going to turn around and say that Leonardo DiCaprio is a racist because he said the N word in a movie, right?
Mhm.
But a comedian, if was to go out and do that, would get crucified. If a professional wrestler was to go out there and say something like that, they would get crucified because and by the audiences as well. Because I think that when you have that live audience interaction, and whether even with us to a slight degree with the live podcasting, when you have that live interaction, people feel closer to it because they can physically see you. And like you look at shows as well, right? So people can physically see you. That so there's a level of even more realness to them, if that makes sense. And the business side of it, sometimes a lot of people forget about what they're actually watching, it being professional wrestling or entertainment or a sport, and they see that person as playing a character, but they said something and then they want to crucify him, and it's not right.
No, and I got you. And that's the thing. I mean, like you're talking about slavery and stuff like that in the United States, but again, in Australia, you had your version of slavery with the Aborigines and stuff like that. I don't know the whole story of how. I just know they had the reparations, and if I'm correct, and they got land, if I'm correct, because again, I don't know. I just remember hearing something like that. So I mean, I don't know if it was worse for the slaves in the United States or it was worse for the Aborigines. If you treat it like shit, you treat it like shit. But all of
Slavery
it's bad.
sucks.
But again, I mean, that's the only thing that I always worried about in regards about the cancel culture. I mean, I don't care. But the thing
Yeah,
is that when I talk about slavery, and my ancestors were enslaved. And
yeah,
when we were talking about it one time, they were saying like in regards to like, oh, it was fashionable. It was fashionable. Of course, they didn't know any better back then. They thought it was part of the elite of the rich, to have something like that. It showed status. Then all of a sudden the cancel culture is like, that's racist, that's fucked up, but anyway, it's just that like I said, I don't care about cancel culture. I'm just saying, but being a podcaster, yeah, you have to like walk that fine line but of course I walk it to the edge, and I
yeah.
even want to walk it off the edge. But
Dude, being in business with you has caused me. Look at this. I had hair. You mentioned in my intro I had hair. Yeah, I started losing my hair the more and more I started working with Angel and listening because I was like, you can't say that. I
well,
had to have a censor button with you for a while.
now let me ask your opinion. Now let's get back to professional wrestling, and I
Sure,
just
sure,
wanted
sure.
to throw that cancel culture because it involves around the podcast business. But
Yeah.
so, in regards to the old school and new school, in regards to being the tough pro wrestler from back in the days, and I know you've been around Stevie Richards, myself, and stuff like that, compared to these individuals now that haven't really paid their dues in this business, and they go straight to the performance center, and they're real sensitive. They're really sensitive now.
Yeah.
So, what is your view on the professional wrestling scene now compared to the back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s? What do you look at do you consider them athletes compared to the original guys from back in the days, way past me? Like the Dr. D. Davis Schultz, the Johnny Rods, the shooters, the Luthez and all
Sure,
that
sure.
stuff. I mean, what do you
From
think?
a from an independent perspective, right? In the last 20 years, I think we've seen the business on the indies, the level of performers improve, where it's like
Mhm.
now we're seeing more legitimate athletes than a couple of acne faced teenagers that are wearing like tearaway tracksuit pants and their Adidas t-shirts to the ring. You know what I mean? Like people now, I feel like on an indie level, it looks more like a professional setting, if that makes sense. Like guys have proper ring gear. You don't see guys, very rarely do you see guys on indie shows coming out to the ring not wearing gear. You know what I mean? Like coming out wearing jeans, unless it's part of their gimmick or whatever. But I think as far as the performance center goes, man, I think it's a great opportunity, man. Like, fuck. Imagine if you had that opportunity to go and like eat, sleep, and train the business, man. But getting the athletes in, I think that look, wrestling is one of those things. If you can put an ass in every 18 inches of a seat, you belong to be there. If you're if you want to bring people to the audience, you're going to bring in new audience, you're going to get that, then yes, you have a spot at that table. That's how I believe.
But look at it like this. Let me put it in your terminology. You had pictures of yourself playing rugby as a young kid. How long have you played rugby?
Oh, how long did I play?
Yeah. I mean, from day one to now. I mean, from day one to whatever. How long have you played?
I played from when I was 8 till I was about 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you played since you were 8 all the way to 18. So you consider yourself seasoned.
At that stage, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So how would you feel if a kid from a football organization that just started, they said, hey, this guy's a great athlete. I think he'd make a great rugby player. And then they give him the opportunity to train at the elite school for rugby players. And he's never played rugby in his life. They just see that he's got something because he's an athlete. And you worked from that age all the way to 18. And this guy comes out of nowhere who was not from an organization of a high, a football organization. Yeah. He's just a regular kid straight out of college.
Yeah, look, I get that. I'd be pissed, but as an adult now, I'd look at it and go, who's going to be I would look at it as like, who's going to be the better player? If he's never played a game of football, but if he can turn around and get the ball and steamroll through motherfuckers or like wipe out fuckers, then yeah, like it depends who the better player is in my eyes.
But it's about, I mean, but you said you'll be upset because you paid your dues. You eat, slept, went to these events, these rugby events with no money. You're not getting paid. You're not, you're paying your dues compared to somebody who just came out of nowhere and they just roll out the red carpet and he's like, I'm a rugby player, and you're standing next to him and he goes, yeah, I'm one of the, they got me because they can see talent. I'm going to be the best rugby player on the planet. And you're going to look at him like, really, dude? Yeah. And see, I see your point. Yeah, you could always be the double-edged sword and say, well, but if you look at it from the perspective, like you said, you'd be pissed because from all those years of you lacing up those cleats, getting kicked in the teeth, maybe knocking the tooth out, and now you got a cap and you paid your dues, and now you're at the main event of one of those top rugby organizations, and this guy just comes in, hey guys, how you doing? Can I sit here?
Yeah.
And you're like, and he has no scratches. He still has all his teeth. His cleats are brand new. Don't even have dirt on them. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm excited to be here, man. I'm really gonna help you guys out. I'm really gonna take you guys to the championship.
You trying to give me anxiety right now?
Yeah, you're gonna look at him like, you're gonna take me to the championship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's when you start getting upset. And that's what I'm saying. That's why that's why I look at this performance center when they bring in this collegiate wrestler who was at WrestleMania that picked up another Olympian again, like Kurt Angle. Yeah, he made the great transition. Perfect, beautiful, wonderful. He did what he did. Anything's possible. But they take another Olympic athlete, and the guy just like grabbed him. He just stood there being held and just get thrown. And I'm like, you're an elite athlete. You're at the same collegiate level as him. You shouldn't have been manhandled. You should have been like boom, boom, boom. You know, like when Kurt Angle did the thing with Brock Lesnar. They wrestled around and stuff like that. Then finally Brock Lesnar got him and did something to him because it showed that they're at the same level, but he just outsmarted them at that time. And that's what I'm just saying. It's just like this guy doesn't know nothing about the business. Yeah, he maybe has potential, but why put him in WrestleMania? Green. Just because you want to put him out there because he's an Olympic wrestler?
Apparently, I heard with that guy, they're planning on like fast tracking him to the main roster.
See it fast tracking him. Why? Because he's that's the thing. What has he done besides the Olympics? Yeah, he has something, but let the guy train, let the guy do the indies, do the NXT for X amount of years or whatever, But anyway, that's just that. I mean, I was just trying to pick your brain in regards about how would you feel, and you said it right there. I will be upset, because in your heart you feel that heaviness of like, hey man, I busted my ass for all these years, and this guy just walks in, grabs a Gatorade out of the cooler, crack, and you're like, this guy just walked in my locker room, didn't even say hi, and just went straight to the Gatorade box,
Yeah.
That's all, and that's what I was just wondering.
But you know what? It's interesting because, like, I heard recently that, like, I don't say recently, but last few months, that WWE doesn't want to hire any indie guys.
I know.
Yeah. So, all right. So, young kids, like, say for example, like your daughter, prime example, because she's almost 18.
Mm-hmm.
I know she's not interested in the business, but say she comes up to you and says, "Dad, I want to be a pro wrestler." Well, go become a Division 1 athlete. Go become a YouTube sensation. Go be a singer. Do this. But I want to be in the WWE. Yeah, I know that. But you got to do this over here, and hopefully they see you and you'll get there.
Yeah. I mean, they even got a lacrosse player. I think I remember seeing that they got somebody who's a lacrosse player that they're training to be a pro wrestler, and that's the thing, man. I mean, regardless it's great to go to the performance center, but it's like I said, you played rugby from when you were a little boy, and then they pick you up like, hey man, why don't you come down to, like I said, to the performance center because you just know the basics and you know what the business is all about. But you know what I think with the reason why they don't want indie wrestlers, because we're already they consider like bad habits. They want somebody fresh that they can mold and train to the way they want them to be, compared to like taking somebody who has bad habits and try to get those bad habits out of them, because it's hard to do that.
But also, do you think like they want like non-wrestlers coming in there, because then it's like these people just do what they say because they won't understand what bad creative is?
Correct.
Because you got to think, like, say for example, Kevin Owens, for example, if they turn around and went, "Kevin, we want to put you in a Santa Claus outfit and you're going to go out there and do a fucking 30-minute match and get pinned by Hornswoggle." Nope.
Yeah.
Not happening. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, like we did the show last time when Stone Cold walked away from Brock Lesnar, he did it because, regardless of why he did it, because it was Stone Cold, he did it, and that's what he did. Now, if it was a guy like the Olympic wrestler, they wouldn't do it. They would not even go against the grain unless they were multimillionaires. They wouldn't. They'd be like, "All right, I'll do what you want me to do," and just call it for what it is. Yeah. So they just want somebody they can control. I mean, I'm not saying control like a slave, but it's just train them the way they want them to train them, so they'd be obedient, basically.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing for them. And I think Kate even said it. It's like for a lot of these guys going in there that, oh, okay, I didn't make it to the NFL. All right, I now work for WWE. It's never been that person's lifelong passion to be a wrestler. They wanted to be in the NFL. They want to be a footballer. They don't give a fuck about wrestling, but it's a job. It's paying. I'm going to earn good money or get to be an athlete.
But it's funny. Look at it like this. Look at it about Tough Enough. Remember the ass whippings they got?
Oh, yeah.
And the reason why they got ass whippings because guys says this motherfucker never paid his dues, so they just whooped their asses. And whatever survived at the end, they got the contract and they still got their ass whooped.
I felt like, do you remember that Rumble where like Eddie Guerrero, Bob Holly, and I think it was Chris Benoit just lit the fucking chest of that Daniel Puder kid from Tough Enough. Like they literally, it was in the middle of Royal Rumble and they were just like all taking turns just chopping the shit out of this kid.
Yeah.
And it looks so fucked.
No, yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, it's not that they didn't respect him. It's just that you just look at him like, I'm going to run you through the ringer, man. Look at the guy who's like with Kurt Angle. Well, which one of you motherfuckers want to step in here with me?
You know,
And then they got the MMA guy and got him in the fucking chicken wing. Almost broke Kurt Angle's arm. Could have broke Kurt Angle's arm.
yeah.
And then the kid was gone. I mean, maybe
He was the guy that won. He won the
yeah,
show.
yeah. But after that, he was gone. I mean, like I said, it's just the business is weird. I mean, it's not how it used to be. But regardless, Piers, I mean, what is, like I said, right? We only have 5 minutes left on your show. I just want to know, and I want the fans to know, what does the future hold for Piers Austin? What does the future hold for shooting the shit? And what's going to happen?
Future for me, I want to grow our network, bro. I want to start having more people involved. Hopefully, debut some new shows. Man, just continuing working with people like you as well, Angel. Like, I've known you for 2 years, man. I consider you one of my best friends. And man, it's been a lot of interesting stuff, man. I have a lot of fun working with you. I have a lot of fun podcasting with you. And same with the other guys like Mega, Cade, Louis, Chung, Charles, and even people that we've had here as well before, like Glenn and many others. It's always been a positive experience. But going forward, I want to see MWA Podcast Network grow into a massive, massive organization where we can have multiple people, hopefully eventually have international studios set up, one in America, one in Australia, and stuff like that. That would be like my ultimate goal for MWA. For shooting the shit, man, I just want to bring entertaining conversations and podcasts that people like, and I just want to make sure that we can get it to just get it to a level, man, where like this is what we do for our living, this is what we do for work. We wake up, we sit in front of the computer, we podcast, we get our shit done. You know what I mean? Like, do our marketing, all that sort of stuff. If that could be our full-time job, man, I think you would agree that would be the dream for a lot of us.
No, I agree, man. Absolutely, man. It's a dream for everybody that's in the podcasting business. But anyway, Piers, before we get off the show, I definitely wanted to bring up a couple of video clips of people wishing you the best, on your 200th episode. So let's get this started. Let's just bring up a couple of guys just to wish you thank you.
Well, Mr. Austin, 200 episodes. From me to you, congratulations. We all know that without you, Vinny Vane's story wouldn't be told to the wider public, so thank you so much for all you've done for me. Professionally, personally, you and I have a very special bond. You know I love you. You know I think of you as family, and I wish you all the success with your show, man. The best. Bye.
First of all, what's up with that dude's hair? He reminds me of the guy from the Muppets, the Beaker guy. That hairline is like right here. Hey, that's just the Kingpin talking. But hey, who's next, man? Who's next to wish you?
Piers, congratulations on 200 episodes of Shooting the Shit Uncensored. Thank you for bringing so much entertainment to all us wrestling fans. To me, you'll always be the love child of Taz and Tommaso Ciampa. In order to celebrate, I decided to watch all 200 episodes in a row. And as you can see, it had no effect on me. None at all.
It looks like he was in Louis' ass. He was eating Louis' ass and shit. Got some shit on his face. Well, let's get another individual, the Brown Bomber right here.
Hey, you bloody cunt. Cheers to 200 episodes. Congratulations. Cheers to 200 more. Keep knocking out the box and keep doing your thing. Peace.
Yo, Piers, it's your boy Lil Ryder. Shout out on 200 episodes. Hell of an accomplishment. Keep grinding, brother.
Man, look how white his teeth are, man. Pristine.
Piers, what's up, man? Congratulations on your 200th episode. I think it's a little too late. I think you were trying to do it before the year ended, but hey, better late than never. Hey, good luck on that 200th episode, and hope you get another 200. Have a good one. Cheers, mate.
That dude didn't have a neck. What the hell?
Hello, this is JP John Paz from the two-man power trip, really the one-man power trip behind the two-man power trip of wrestling. Piers Austin, the dad bod god, the dad bod destroyer, the man behind Wrestling with Tragedy, the man behind Shooting the Shit. Want to give you a big congratulations for episode number 200. That is a big, big deal and a huge number. Huge milestone you've reached there. You've done such a great job building yourself up in this podcasting world. all your interviews, man. I know a thing or two about interviews, and they are tough to come by. And to be able to get to a high number like 200 is pretty amazing. So, Piers, congratulations. Great work. Keep on climbing that ladder up towards the top. And, of course, congratulations to Shooting the Shit, episode number 200. Congratulations, Piers. Keep up the good work.
Man, Cesaro really put you over, brother. You know, stuff like that. And you know, one thing I'm upset, man. Where is my clip? I had a clip up here. I sent it to Charles. He shits on me again, you know, and kind of hurts my feelings.
He didn't put the clip in?
No, he didn't put the clip in. But, you know, it was a funny clip, but it's okay. It's okay. You know.
All right, just do the clip now.
Oh, I don't have it. It's on my phone, I think, but I don't have it.
Just cut the promo.
Nah, it's okay, man. I'm on the show anyway. I mean, I'm wishing you congratulations. I just did it as a joke. I thought he was going to put it up there. But again, man, congratulations on your 200th episode. You know, Shooting the Shit. I wish you 200, 800 more. You know, I love you, man. You know, you mean a lot to me, even though you annoy me sometimes, you know, but you're still my boy, you know, and, you know, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be a part of your life. Thank you for giving the guys an opportunity, because trust me, Louis and Chung and all those guys, you know, you got them out of the gutter, man. Those guys was just eating fish heads and and stuff like that in the alleys of New York City. So again, Piers, thank you. I mean, the floor is yours to close off the show and to tell your fans, thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for everyone for tuning in. Thank you for everyone who sent in those amazing clips. It was great.
My clip wasn't on there, but anyway. Okay.
Well, yeah, you hosted the show, dude. Like, that's a pretty big fucking thing, you know what I mean? But everyone, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to me spew my bullshit every single fucking week. And man, this is the dad bod god, the bald, the beard, the fucking beautiful Piers Austin. And this is episode 200. Make sure you tune in for episode 201, bitches, because you know it's coming up very, very soon. Till then, take care, brush your hair, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Close us out, baby.
Oh, you want me to hit the video?
It's your shit.